much. So, welcome everyone for today's session. My name is Maithili and I work with the SSF. We have Luca, who is a Seneca graduate with an advanced diploma in business administration. He has worked for over 15 years in YMCA of Greater Toronto in various roles in employment services. He returned to Seneca in 2019 as an employer relations specialist, where he nurtured relationships with employees and created employment opportunities for our students. Luca brings a well-versed background as a career strategist with a thorough understanding of employer and job seekers' requirements. So we are very glad to have you here, and thank you so much for your time to just help our students out through this through the networking bit.
Yeah,
Would you
my
like to
pleasure.
add
Thanks for
anything?
having me. No, I think you did a great job.
Thank you. So let's start with the basics. Before that, I would like to do some housekeeping here. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box, and our staff and moderators will let us know. And this session is being recorded. At any time, if you feel uncomfortable, please let us know. Also, if you like to ask a question, you can turn on the microphone and ask your questions when we open the mic for all the questions. Okay, so let's get started. So let's start with the basics. What is networking?
Sure. And there's very common and definitions for the term networking, but just to recite so everybody understands, networking is defined as the act of making contact, exchanging information with other people, groups, and potentially institutions, and developing mutual beneficial relationships. So it's the exchange of information, ideas, usually with people that have something in common, a common ground. It could be a common profession, potentially an interest or a hobby. And it can be in a formal and an informal setting. So when we look at networking in a professional setting, so to speak, it could be with individuals from the same academic background as yourself. It could be those who might be part of the same professional association. So in my case, for example, as a graduate from the HR program, networking from a professional standpoint would be with others in the HR field and a group of HR associates. When we look at networking, we're looking, as I said, to build relationships. So often, anytime we want to leverage a network or a contact, it's something that we can do, but because we're trying to nurture a relationship and maybe plant a seed for the future, networking doesn't always give us immediate benefits, or at least connecting with somebody doesn't give us immediate benefits. But after a nurturing and developing of a relationship, it is a place that we, or an individual, we can use to help us leverage a specific goal. I think you're muted.
Sorry. So you told us about networking and how it does not give immediate benefits, but it is definitely a seed that we are planting. So why do you think it an important part of one's job search and for the career development?
Sure. So obviously, networking has various positives to it. It is an
Hmm.
essential part of, as you mentioned, not only job searching, because we hear about this hidden job market that exists, but it's also important for one's career development. So once we have a job, how do we leverage and use and work with our networks and contacts to then proceed and work up within a certain profession? So obviously, by nurturing relationships, sharing information, developing our networks, we're able to gain knowledge and insights into a specific field. It allows us, I think, to stay on top of the latest trends, again, by sharing information and staying connected with individuals.
Mhm.
It obviously allows us to expand a circle of contacts, and it allows us to potentially to meet potential future mentors, which I think is huge for students and new professionals. Having a mentor is something that definitely can help one understand a specific field or hiring practices in a specific field. It allows us to keep our pulse on the job market. And as I mentioned, we hear a lot about this hidden job market. Many times opportunities are filled before they're formally advertised. And that's through networking. That's through knowing people in industry. That's by having relationships with people in industry, so that a hiring manager is contemplating and making a decision to hire somebody. A coworker might come to them because they know that and recommend somebody for the position. And it allows that individual to connect with a hiring manager prior to, let's say, the job being posted formally. So I think there's a wide variety of benefits to networking, not only, like I said, for your immediate job search and a goal you might have to finding work, but also along your career progression and development as a professional.
Interesting. Definitely. Like, as you mentioned, like, the um, intention about having that possibility of not having the immediate connection, but like in using that network to expand your knowledge as well as see something in future. So, what would you say about how do intention drive the outcome when it comes to networking?
Sure. And I think it's not a surprise that, at the end of the day, networking is going to help us leverage a lot of opportunities, contacts, and whatnot. But like building of any relationship, our intentions need to be genuine. And,
Mm,
if I'm meeting somebody for the first time or the second time, eh, I'm not going to be asking for what they can do for me immediately. We need to build a relationship, a genuine relationship, a trustworthy relationship. So that's where I think our intentions are critical and play a big role in nurturing a relationship. It's not about, can you get me a job? Can you connect me with somebody in HR? Can you get me an interview right away? These come off as a little self-serving. Um, so I think at first it's about building relationships, sharing ideas, information with each other.
mhm.
Sure, at some point it's going to lead to these things, but I think we can go there once a relationship's built over a period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I think each one, like even the person who's like there to offer you help, as well as the one seeking it, knows that that's the end goal of, having a job or like in a contact in the HR. But definitely the intention through that process definitely matters. So, to take a step back, how
Mhm.
does a student, a new graduate go about networking?
Sure. There's a variety of different ways one can network and build, let's say, a network of contacts.
Mhm.
And they do kind of, they differ from in-person networking, and what's becoming more popular, perhaps even more so because of COVID and whatnot, is this virtual environment.
Mhm.
So when we look at in-person networking, again, we're intentionally trying to seek out opportunities to help us grow. So, one would start very close to home, and very close in their immediate circle. So we're looking at family members, friends, coworkers, professors, perhaps a supervisor at work, customers, and starting with that initial, let's say, first level of contact we have, and then, bridging out from there. I'm an HR student. I don't have a lot of contacts. I remember my aunt is an HR professional. So that would be a good place to kind of start and then grow let's say, the web out from there. So starting from close and then building up from there. Obviously, virtual connections are becoming more and more popular. I'm sure we'll touch on LinkedIn. We're also seeing employers doing a variety of what they call coffee chats. So these are not as formal opportunities to meet with an HR professional or somebody within their area of study and just get a better idea of what steps did they take after graduation. What did their career journey look like? How did they start? How did they find their first job? So these virtual opportunities are becoming much more popular also. Just to go back to the in-person event, as we grow our network and now maybe we're affiliated with an association, a professional association, or a career fair. These are opportunities then to start building connections and networks with people in the same industry, but whom we don't have this direct knowledge of who they are. And this can be, intimidating for some, for sure. I'm more introverted just by nature. I find it difficult to strike up conversations with others, but other people, can do it much more easily. So it's understanding that it might be uncomfortable. It's maybe something that doesn't come natural to you, but you can still, like anything else, with practice, become more comfortable with it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think also to add to your point, like whenever even me being an extroverted, just being comfortable with being uncomfortable is the way we see networking right now. So you mentioned about virtual coffee chats and informational interviews. Could you just explain the difference between these and how should we cater to each one and on
Yeah,
what channels maybe?
sure. So there isn't a whole lot of difference. I think just the virtual coffee chat was kind of a rebranded or perhaps a more current term for an informational interview. But just going back to LinkedIn again for a second as a starting point, I think it's pretty well known that LinkedIn is probably the most popular professional networking site on there. It allows us to connect with individuals and apply to jobs. And I think as a starting point, it's important to have an optimized profile on the site so that, yes, other people can see you and maybe some of your experiences in education, but it is what people see when we go to try and make future connections, right? So, we want to be outlining our experiences, our education. We want to be connected to the right groups. So maybe a Seneca alumni group. The Seneca Works team here has a LinkedIn profile. And again, we have to be intentionally going out to try and make connections. And sometimes, a Seneca alumni might see that somebody or a current student's reached out to them. I think they're a little bit more willing to make the connection because we do share that commonality. Both went to Seneca or go to Seneca, and they have that as a starting point. So when we go into virtual coffee chats or informational chats, again, I would make the approach to maybe ask this individual for 10, 15 minutes of their time, right? And if they were open to it, I would take the next step and find out when a good time to connect for them was. Maybe set up a meeting online on one of the, video chat, an MS Teams or a WebEx, whatever they prefer. and just take 15 minutes of their time, like I mentioned, to understand what was their career journey like. What are the latest trends maybe that they think I can maybe brush up on that they think are important? What are
Mhm.
the in-demand skills and qualifications? And if they have any advice for me, I think it's very useful to take that information, reflect on it, and try and incorporate that in who you are moving forward. Again, I'm not asking them for an HR contact or a job or anything like that on the onset. It's about building that relationship. So that would be one way that one participates and maybe actively sets up these virtual coffee chats. We are finding more and more employers are doing this on their own also.
Mhm.
On their corporate websites, there might be in the job posting section, maybe information for virtual coffee chats that they're formally setting up for anybody who's interested in meeting with individuals from their company to learn more. So
Mhm.
again, virtually these things are happening. Much like you would in person, I think a lot of the same requirements go hand in hand. I'm going to be polite. I'm going to be on time. We're going to make eye contact, and I'm going to listen for the most part. Sure, I'm going to have some questions that I want to ask and guide the conversation, but I'm really here to learn more about what worked for you more than anything else.
Definitely, you gave some really nice tips of how we should approach this virtual coffee chats with experts from the industry, and how should we make that first breakthrough, or like send in questions, be polite. I think definitely those are the tips that even I am going to use for my personal professional journey. Uh, Coming towards the end, like my last question for you would be, what is the importance of for networking in career development today? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, networking is a skill that is going to serve you well throughout your career if you're starting off as a new professional and or trying to work within a specific profession and work to a higher level. So networking is going to be huge for your success in terms of, again, meeting more industry professionals in your industry. You're going to attend trade shows and maybe different association events. These are events that you should be capitalizing on, increasing your network of contacts. Because if you do, then I think the likelihood of you being able to move within that specific career, it only gets better, right?
Mhm.
If I do my job and keep my head down and work hard, that's important. But if I'm relying on that alone to help me navigate a career, it might be difficult. So networking is vital for career progression and to navigate future jobs within your industry, and meeting individuals who make these hiring decisions is vital.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for answering all our questions. I would like to take a moment and check if our participants have any questions. You can either turn on your microphone and ask your questions to Luca, or you can chat, you can type them into the chat. Does anyone have a question? Till we get a question, I have a question for you, Luca.
Sure.
While networking, should you mentioned that we should first target the people who are in our profession, or our, the sector that we have taken a subject. Do you think networking also goes beyond our immediate profession, and it can be someone in, like for me, I'm in communications. Should I also reach out to an HR, or like a cross-functional networking? What do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be important to connect with HR individuals for sure. Recruiters are there to be connected with, so you would be definitely connecting with the HR individuals, I think,
Mhm.
alongside your industry specific. Um, stuff. So most definitely you would.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't see any questions that are there in the chat box. Would anyone like to turn on their microphone?
One thing I would add is,
Mhm.
again, the Seneca Works department is here to support you on your job search, your career exploration, development. We're here to meet with you one-on-one also, so we're able to maybe discuss the specifics of your situation a little bit more in depth, and
Mhm.
when it comes to networking, I think help you develop a plan to move forward with concrete goals, because I think when you are networking, it's good to have goals in terms of maybe the number of individuals you're looking to connect with at an event, or how to find more information on information sessions, or the coffee chats. It's important, I think, to have goals so we're focused on, you know, a certain outcome. But again, the goal shouldn't be from the onset to get me something from the individual.
Interesting. If you have a link that you can probably paste it into the chat, Luca, that would be great, where our students can find Seneca Works if they haven't already.
Sure.
So yes, we have our link there, so you can use that link and reach out to the experts. Yes, so I think this brings us to the end of the session. Again, I would like to thank you for answering all our questions today and sharing all the tips and insights that could help us find the perfect job for us and networking.
My pleasure. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.